Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Rudy Fallad. I'll be your moderator today, and I'm going to share my screen in a second. But you see also Professor Zsolt Katona from Berkeley, and we're going to talk about AI, right? So AI, generative AI, traditional AI, and everything in between. So in the meantime, if you could tell us where you're connecting from, just put it in the chat, please. Okay, I see California's in the house, no surprise. So San Jose and Lafayette, right? And Denmark as well, and Cleveland, Ohio, Brazil, Chicago, Illinois, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Dubai, and California again, and Switzerland. So I'm based in Switzerland today. See Peru, Canada, Germany again in the house, Switzerland again, North Carolina. Okay, anybody else? And Orlando, Florida, I see, and LA as well. Okay. Okay, a couple of more people from California and Florida and Paris. Well, which Paris? Paris, France, or Paris somewhere else?
I think there's a Paris, Texas.
I know. I remember this. Our CEO once gave us a hard time. We didn't say Paris, France, and he said there are 25 Parises in America. Which one are you talking about? So yes, Mexico. Okay, Paris, France it is. Okay. Los Angeles in the house. Okay, Detroit. All right. We're gonna start very soon. Everybody's in the house. All right. Still trying to trickle in. You know, contrary to popular belief, Zoom security is not so bad. So we're carding everybody at the door, making sure you're at the right place. And you see it here. This is information webinar about AI, business strategies and applications. So artificial intelligence, business strategies and applications. As I said, we're carding everybody at the door, making sure you're in the right place. You are. All right. Oakland, California. So next door, Germany, Colombia. All right. All right. So, okay. So welcome everyone once again. With us, we have Zsolt Katona, who is a professor of marketing, and he's going to talk to us about this course. He's a very distinguished member of faculty at Berkeley. We're going to talk about this in a moment. My name is Rudolf or Rudy Fallat. I work with Emeritus that partnered with Berkeley to deliver this course to you. And I'm just waiting for a couple of more people. Yes, Christophe from French Alps and Maxime from Orange County, California. These are the last to get in or not. All right, a few more people. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about UC Berkeley, of course. But given that you are here, probably you've heard of UC Berkeley and you know something about it. So we'll focus on the course, but also why is it important, right? Why are we talking about AI so much? Why now and why in the future? But also because Berkeley is a business school, we're going to talk about business strategies, how to derive tangible business benefits from AI, right? And we'll give you a bit of a preview of what the key takeaways would be from the course, who should attend, what are the benefits to you if you attend this course. We'll give you a bit of an overview of curriculum and also how you finish the program. You will have to work on a capstone challenge as well. We'll have some case studies to talk about, industry examples. Zsolt will also introduce his colleagues from a program faculty. And then at the end of the day, you will get something tangible. It won't be a piece of paper, but will be a digital certificate. And this digital certificate can also be start of your path to alumni benefits at Berkeley. All right. So I see a few more people got in. Okay. From Colorado and Mexico as well. So UC Berkeley, I think it doesn't need any introduction, but still for sake of good order, UC Berkeley is a university of great distinction that was, as you can see here, founded in late 19th century. It is in the San Francisco Bay Area. It is a flagship institution of the 10 University of California research universities, and it's ranked #1 public university worldwide by US News and World Report. You can also see here huge numbers when it comes to programs and the students, right? So you see 40,000 students and thousands of undergraduate and graduate courses and over 300 course or degree programs, right? So this is the core which underpins this online program as well. But why AI and business strategies? You can see here a quote from Jolt's colleague, Peter Abel. He says, what's possible in AI and robotics today is quite different from what was possible even 5 years ago. This is a fast-changing field. And whether you talk about traditional AI or generative AI, the growth opportunity that is in front of us is tremendous. And almost every company in the world these days recognizes it. You can see here over 90% of organizations are investing in AI or AI activities. And, some of them start with obvious cost savings and efficiencies, but others, they also do other things as well, which we can touch on today. So huge market opportunity. Why is that? Jolt can give you a bit of a flavor for this, but the hint could be obviously big data, powerful computers, and smarter and smarter people like yourselves flowing into this field. So this is why we are here. A very short overview first. What is this program about? So it's a 2-month program. We think it should take you 4 to 6 hours per week. What we think is unique about this is that it combines an analytical rigor or academic rigor of Berkeley with its unique advantages being positioned in the Bay Area and therefore close to business and technology companies as well. This is obviously something very distinctive when it comes to other universities as well, because Berkeley has access to these companies, to their research and development, to their thinking about where the AI can head next. And here I will hand over to Jolt. So you will hear from him talking about what are the key takeaways and also curriculum. And then I'll come back to you and talk about digital certificate and your learning experience. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate, put them in the Q&A or chat if you like, ideally just one, and then we'll come and stop by and answer them at the time that is suitable. Plus, we booked a lot of time towards the end to talk about your questions. So welcome, Jolt. Happy to hear from you.
Well, thank you for the introduction and welcome, everyone. I'm really glad to see the enormous interest in this course. As Rudy said, please do put the questions mostly in the Q&A window. And, if it's relevant to what I'm actually talking about right now, then I'll answer them. So there's no point in waiting, but we'll reserve some time at the very end. So takeaways is a good way to start, because you want to know what you're getting out of this course. The main point before I actually go through these 6 points is the main idea. What we want you to get out of it is just get a sense of what AI can do and what it cannot do. So really, this does sound somewhat as a technical question, but really it's a business question, right? Because you as managers need to know what is possible, right? And then have a little bit of understanding of how you can make that happen. So again, this is not a technical course, but we are trying to connect the dots between the technical capabilities and the business applications, the business problems. And it's a fine line, but we have been doing this for 5 years, so I think we get a good grasp on what level we have to go to get this done, get this objective satisfied. And often I get a question of what technical expertise is needed, and the answer is none. So this is not supposed to be a course where you already know how to code in Python and run machine learning models. That is not the focus, but we'll show you a lot of examples and we'll try to kind of convey the basics the fundamentals of how these things work. So going through the 6 takeaways, really the first point captures most of what I was saying. The second point here is generative AI, and obviously, if it was not for generative AI, 80% of you probably wouldn't be here for now. But the course, I think, does a good job in explaining how generative AI is really seems like a spectacular new frontier, but it's a gradual buildup of what has been happening in the past 5 to 10 years. But of course, it opens up a lot of possibilities for the applications, and at the same time creates a gigantic hype that you will have to learn to kind of be aware of and to manage it. And just as a fun fact, the quote from my colleague Peter talked about, 5 years ago, what was possible and what is possible now, and he's absolutely right. But it was exactly 5 years ago when we first recorded the beginning of this course, and of course we have to update it. Like, we work hard for our money, we have to do a lot of updates. But in that very first introductory video, I used GPT-2 to generate a script that basically kicked off the course. So that was 5 years ago, right? And ChatGPT just came out, about a year ago. But the basic capabilities have been there for a very long time. And if you look at the quality, it's actually very similar for that particular purpose. Of course, there's a lot more what it can do. Right. So next on to kind of the organization. That is one of the crucial aspects from a management perspective. Okay, we understand how it works, and what it can do, but like how do you organize your business around this? How you organize teams around this? So we have an expert in organizational sciences who will come in and talk about it. And of course, he's also doing this specifically in the AI setting. Now, the next one here is about communication. And this naturally follows from the idea of you being able to understand the basics. And the purpose for the reason that we want you to understand the basics is not necessarily so that you can implement yourself. In fact, you're probably not implement yourself unless you already know how to do that. But the purpose of understanding the basics is that you can ask the right questions, and hopefully you can even understand the answer if you ask the right questions. So how you communicate with those people who are kind of at the lower levels, have very good technical expertise, but maybe do not have that big picture, high level view of what needs to be done. And this brings us to the next point, which is pitfalls. Of course, there's always ways to mess it up, and we'll show you a couple of examples, try to figure out how to avoid that. And then, of course, the last point here is that you'll be part of a community, and you will know some of your peers. And I hesitate to overemphasize how what you get out of the course is your peers, because there's content as well, and that is the fundamental value in the course. But of course, there's tremendous value in you coming together and learning together and getting to know new people, especially people who are interested in the exact same topics as you are. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Who should attend? So this is a good question. We again try to make it as kind of inviting as possible, in the sense that we do not require a lot of or any technical background. What we need is for an appetite to learn. So we are going to show you a couple of equations, not too many, but do not be scared away by some of the intuition behind these models. So that's one thing, but no technical expertise needed. And the other thing is this is a business class, so we want people who have some business experience. Now, how much business experience it doesn't really, the course is not really limiting. We have a huge range. We have senior leaders, all the way down to just data scientists who know how to do the technical aspect, but maybe have less of a perspective on what is going on at the level of a group or a division or the organization. So it's pretty flexible. I mean, it's hard to tell in advance if the course is right specifically for you, but hopefully this webinar will give you more information to figure that out. All right, thanks for the next slide. So how is the course structured? So we have a combination of recorded videos and live sessions, just like this one. Of course, we're going to be talking about specific topics, not a course overview. And again, it's going to be a combination of fundamentals and up-to-date material, obviously more reactions to what's happening in the world in the live sessions. But we also kind of continuously updates the recorded videos as well. And then we'll have a number of assignments, many of them interactive there, where you can kind of learn by yourself. Again, this is not coding. There's a number of very good tools that help you understand and even kind of work on some pilot type code. I wouldn't say prototype, but kind of play around with models, which then you can ask someone, or if you have the expertise, you can yourself implement something. All right. Next slide. Yes. So one of the things here is a lot of that we have a lot of case studies, applications. Of course, that's the focus of the class. And what's special about AI is the kind of interdisciplinary nature. So as Rudy said, I am a professor of marketing, but I actually have a computer science background. So I have this kind of dual, if you want to say, schizophrenic view on the world. Like, do I put my business hat on or do I put my computer science hat on? I'm in a business school, so mostly the hat is determined by that. But it definitely requires you to be open to kind of connect the dots between these different disciplines. As we move on to the next slide, let me pause a little bit to take a quick look at the questions. If there's something.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of questions already here, Jolt. For example, Vanessa's asking, given the capacity for generative AI to quite extensively support learners by creating courses on AI capabilities and strategies and industry trends, could you please articulate the key differentiator this course provides as opposed to such self-study? And also what core technical skills will be gained from this course?
All right. Yeah, I'm just looking at all these questions, and this particular one, I will address the differentiator in a second. In terms of the technical skills, we are not going to, again, learn kind of hardcore technical skills, right? This is a class for understanding, so not technical skills, but management skills. There's one question here from Jonathan about what percentage of the course specifically addresses emerging generative AI tools versus the broader field of AI technology. So this is a great question. And this is where I think one of our strengths is that we are not hype followers in the sense that it's pretty much impossible to teach a generative AI course. I see all these generative AI classes popping up, and I think it's impossible to do that without kind of understanding the basics, especially because the generative AI applications follow so clearly from kind of the fundamental AI models, like a generative AI model is a neural network. Like, how can you understand that without knowing what a neural network is? So what we do in this class is, instead of kind of focusing like, okay, this is traditional AI versus generative AI, we kind of mesh it together and we build up on each of these um, building blocks of how AI and how machine learning, if you want to go more towards the architecture, how it is constructed. And this is not only helpful and necessary for your understanding of the how it works and what it's capable of, but it will actually help you a lot when you think about applications. I mean, just a quick thing here. If you think about all ChatGPT applications out there in the world, and I don't have a statistic, like a hard number on this, but just what my experience and intuition tells me, what percentage of those applications are truly generative in the sense that it generates something new? It's a very small percentage. Most of those generative AI applications are summarization, essentially search. Uh, you know, Google introduced language models to improve their search. And most of those applications, okay, maybe there's some chatbot component to it, but it's not where the value is created. So even all the generative AI technologies are mostly not necessarily used in a generative fashion, especially if we look at where the value is. Now, of course, that will change, and we will get maybe in 5 years, like truly generative stuff and a lot of value out of it. But for now, what we see is that there's still a lot of low-hanging fruits that, okay, maybe it uses ChatGPT because everybody uses ChatGPT. It's just easy to use. It's very convenient, but uses it for problems that are by nature not truly and only generative. But great question. So let me walk through a little bit through the modules here that will help you understand what's going on. And then I'll talk a little bit about what's different, what makes this course unique. So we'll start with an introduction. And this is kind of as we would train a machine learning model, we'll pepper you with examples. And we'll show you, like, this is possible, this is not possible, this is possible, this is not possible. Kind of show you the limits of a lot of applications. So that is our approach to get you started. Of course, you might be familiar with a lot of applications already, but we discuss it from our own expert perspective, 3 of the 5 instructors in the course. So kind of a broad perspective on what is possible and how it actually helps you create value, which is why you are here. Then we'll move a little bit towards this fundamentals, so machine learning basics, and this will actually help you understand a lot, like what is generative AI, for example. But we'll start with the basics of supervised, unsupervised, and how actually combining those two leads to generative models that can do a lot of other things that are not generative in nature. Module 3 is where we essentially cover the fundamentals of modern AI, which is neural networks, and deep learning, which is behind pretty much everything now. So you kind of have to understand that it's not complicated. Kind of the idea behind it is not complicated. The devil is in the kind of the implementation details, but that's not something you would have to know. But you have to know a lot of things about what does it mean to train a model, what kind of data you need to have to train a model. What is the objective function? When you train a model, there's always an objective function that if you do not set it properly, then you are going to end up with something useless. And the objective function is actually a direct translation of the business goal. So if you don't understand how that goes into training a neural network, then you are not going to be able to create a model or any kind of AI that helps solve a business problem. and a couple of other things that basically from the business perspective, from the application perspective of what you need to know about these things. Then we'll move on to, and this is cut into two different slides, but the three main application areas that we see. Um, Module 4 and 5, the three application areas: computer vision, natural language, and robotics. So these are the application areas. So this is module 3 was from the bottom up, how it is built, what it does, how it's trained, and then module 4 and 5 are from the other side, what we are trying to do with it. And of course, this is going to be a lot of generative AI content in there as well, with fresh updates that we record fairly often these days because of the developments. But what was interesting, I just did a re-recording, and I was like, oh no, like I have to change everything now, as I said that. But then I looked at the recording. It was a year or two ago, and it was actually pretty relevant still. And of course, the examples and what you can do with it and what exactly the level of capabilities are changed. But the basic idea of why and what it's trying to do was exactly the same. It's just a little more computing, more data, throw a lot of resources at it, and it becomes better. And of course, if it becomes good enough that it kind of goes over a threshold, then it comes into the public eye, public view, and then it starts a hype, right? That was ChatGPT. It was basically when everybody became aware of language models. And they were improving fairly gradually, but they reached threshold that was good enough that everybody was amazed by it. And I'm not saying that a hype is necessarily just bad in the sense that it overclaims what AI can do. A hype is something you have to be aware of because a hype opens up a lot of possibilities. Everybody wants, all the clients want AI now. You have to explain it to them that, okay, we can provide this for you, but we cannot yet do what you're asking for because it's not yet possible. And this is where we move on to the kind of the strategy business side. Well, the whole course is about business, but we move more towards this kind of the strategic questions and talk about hype, talk about value creation, competitive advantage, and how you think about all that, which has changed a lot compared to what it was before AI. Like, just think about all the open source stuff out there. OpenAI, right? They're doing amazing work. Sometimes they fire their CEO, but what they have done is amazing. Now, at the same time, you can go out, download an open source model on your own computer, if you have a good enough computer, and pretty much get similar results. And for most applications, you don't need the OpenAI level, but it's just easier, right? So most businesses use OpenAI because it's easier. They don't have to worry much about it. But for pretty much anything, there is open source stuff that can do as well as the leading tech companies could do 6 months or a year ago. So that has big implications for strategy. And then module 7 is where my colleague Professor Samir Shrivastava comes in and will talk about the organization side of it. And he not only is an expert in organizations, but he uses AI to study organizations. So it's pretty fun. And then we conclude with the module where we kind of try to look in the future, both from a policy perspective, what you need to watch out for in terms of dangers of AI, dangers in the sense of dangers for society, but mostly dangers and opportunities for your business. All right, next, please. So this is a very important part of the class, the capstone project, which is where we ask you to work on a project. And again, we are very flexible on how real it has to be, whether it's at your work or whether it's something that you would like to do in the future or you have done in the past. But you can even team up with others. What we want to achieve is that you think through the whole kind of series of steps, pretty much following the modules that we have. So you think through the whole process of setting up an AI project. And again, you don't have to implement anything, but many students actually do implement, and we love to see those. Um, and we love to get updates. But many students, this is their favorite part of the course because they get to try their own hands. Again, this is not something where you have to do implementation necessarily. What in the project and the submission, what we ask for is basically a document, but we see a lot of students that do actually get to implement it after the course because it's a fairly short course, so we don't expect you to run things in the 8 weeks or so. Well, let me take a look at the questions real quick. Ron asks if we'll touch on the LLMs that are in market and the use cases. Absolutely, yes. That will be part of a live session here. Jay Akala, would this course help me teach in how to identify areas of my current domain to integrate with AI ML? That's one of the main purposes of the course. John asks, will the course look at new business models that can be created using AI and private LLMs for organizations with huge amounts of content? Yes, that will be an important part of the strategy discussion. Will there be any hands-on activities using generative AI? Yes, I believe so. But this is some of those things that because of the open nature of it, it's so easy to do it yourself, right? Even without the course. So we will kind of try to direct you to tell you what to try, but for you, this is probably not the biggest contribution of the course because you just go out there and try. GPT-4 now you can generate images. It can pretty much do everything. Rajiv, I'll come back, I promise, to the question of uniqueness, but it was a certain spot in the slides where I want to talk about it. Business TCO or ROI techniques for generating models. So Nav asks if we are going to learn about techniques for total cost of ownership and ROI to show the business value of migrating apps or workloads. I mean, this sounds a little bit specific. We'll learn about the returns, like how much value. We will probably not go through an exercise of trying to evaluate the exact ROI, but we'll talk about what returns you can expect and what the costs are. So we'll talk about this, but at a little bit of a higher level. Khalid, his area of interest is to develop technical training from multitude of resources. We'll discover some aspects of training content development. So I'm not sure if you are developing training for someone else, but or this is for yourself. But this is a great starting point. If I would say if you want to learn more about the technical details of AI, this is a great starting point where you can kind of go through different areas and just the very fundamentals and then see where you need to learn more and which direction you would have to go. So that's what I would say. Mike asks, how will we avoid having AI be utilized in an unethical, unscrupulous fashion? Well, that is a hard question. I'm not going to answer it now. Hopefully in the course, you'll restrict yourself from using the AI in an unethical fashion, but we will have a session and a half on algorithmic bias and ethical policy implications. Let's see, Mike has another fairly detailed content question, how an AI model can self-generate and evolve. Yes, we'll talk about that as part of the understanding of how AI models are trained and built and kind of discussion on artificial general intelligence. Support. So we have learning, I failed to mention, but I think there's a slide there. We have learning facilitators. So we are expecting a large number of students. So unfortunately, faculty cannot do one-on-one with each student, but we have office hours with learning facilitators that will walk you through. And the number of learning facilitators we hire depends on the enrollment. So there'll be sufficient time for each of you to connect with your learning facilitators, and they're extremely helpful with your capstones. Let's see. We have a lot of students, so the question asks about what are the most relevant and interesting capstone projects from 2023. I haven't looked at the very last batch because they have just submitted, but what's surprising to me when I look at the capstone project is how little or how few of the good ones look at and try to apply the very latest, the most hyped technologies. And this is because of the low-hanging fruits. There's like so many things like companies that are still using faxes. I mean, just things like processing PDFs or fax information and digitizing all of that and using AI for it. And it's AI that has been around for maybe 5 years. But 5 years is not a long time in kind of changing your business. So what I would say is that the interesting part about the Caston projects is what the ones I like is finding ways to generate huge amounts of value without a super fancy, technically sophisticated technique. So that is what I like. What is the opportunity to meet team members? Just a live session. So office hours, and then I believe we set up groups based on industries. So that's another way to kind of connect with people who have similar interest to you. All right, a lot of questions coming in, so I love that. But let me move on for now. So this is just a slide that's not that important. Just kind of highlight some of the case studies that we cover. As I said, we cover a number of case studies, so that's how we try to organize. But most business classes do that, cover a lot of examples of organizations and case studies and so on. So let's move on to the next slide, please. If we can, like even after this. Yep. So this is where I want to talk a little bit about the faculty, and this is where I want to talk about what makes us different and what makes us unique. So if you look at the faculty, that's me. You already know who I am. Dear colleague of mine is in operations, Professor Thomas Lee. He has been doing text analysis for 20 years now, so he's very good at understanding where we're heading. And it's again, the content he that was the biggest surprise. We had to re-record the content on obviously language models because of what happened with ChatGPT. But then going through his content and trying to figure out what to record, and it was really just small additions because the building blocks have already been there, and just understanding what is the role of counting word frequencies in a language model? Huge role. Or embeddings that have been around for a while. Those form the basics of language models, and you know that he has studied for many years. But he also has very excellent examples of applications of various nature. He has expertise in health as well. So this is what really makes our course unique, I think, is kind of just the breadth of the expertise here. Because if you go on to the next slide, you see the other three instructors here. Oh, so I guess the third one is on the last slide, but there is Professor Srivastava, who is the expert in organizations. A very different perspective on AI, but again, he does high-tech stuff on using AI to analyze organizations. And then we have Peter Abil from the computer science department. So we have kind of not only different application areas represented at different disciplines, but also different school at the university, the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, EECS as we call it. So his main area is robotics. He has a startup in robotics, and he's the famous one among us. But that should not make a difference in how good his content is and how relevant his examples are. And then the last slide, Matthew Stepcott got split out to this one. So he is kind of the most application focused. He has a background in computer science and law. So any legal questions, he is has a license to practice law. Nothing he says can be used as legal advice, but he can answer questions about the legal aspects, which are tremendous, and I know very little about them. But more importantly, he has a vast experience in applications. He was at Google, he's working with those Boston Dynamics robots. And since then, he quit Google and he is investing in startups. So he probably in his head has 300 examples at any given time of the latest and newest applications. So this is what makes us unique. Well, first of all, what makes us unique is that our program is the best. But why is it the best? And I think what explains why it is the best is really this combination of different experts, ranging from marketing operations to computer science, organizational. So this is, I think, truly what's required to have a good overview of where AI is, where it's headed, and how you can get the most value out of it. Right, next slide, please. Certificate. So you'll get a certificate. Again, it's an online course, digital certificate. And if you complete other courses, we can move on to the next slide. Then you can actually become part of this community. I mean, even just with this one course, you'll become part of the community, but we have multiple courses where you can participate and get certificate of business excellence, which is kind of 5 courses. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact details, but if you want to know more about it, we can cover that offline. But again, all these are online courses, so we will not be meeting in person per se, but we have certain events from time to time. You're welcome to come to those, and you'll all be part of this community. So quick summary. It's about a 2-month course, and the goal is for you to be better at managing AI and coming up with applications and getting the most value out of it. So again, it's a combination of recorded modules, live sessions, and work on your own, which includes the capstone project. But we have this great set of instructors and learning facilitators. So between I think the 5 instructors and at least 3 learning facilitators, like 8 experts to guide you through this journey. All right, let's see. There's more questions coming in. Rudolph, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Joel, this is a combination of live sessions and recorded sessions. Some people were asking if they miss a live session, if that's a problem. No, these are for your benefit. All of them will be recorded. You will get the slides as well. Obviously, it's better if you can attend. When it comes to networking, we promote networking among participants. You will have a discussion forum where you can participate, comment on the content, and therefore connect with your peers as well. And also on the course website, you will be able to see who your classmates are. If they provide social media handles, etc., like LinkedIn, then of course you can contact them. And so these were some of the points that were coming up throughout the Q&A as well. And if you are interested in this, you can sleep on this, of course. You can then, or today, check the website. You see the link on the slide, or you can schedule. You can scan a QR code and then schedule a call with an advisor. And the advisor will go through this with you in detail if you have questions whether this is the right program for you. and also any other logistical questions regarding the next cohort start or payment, financing, help and things like this. So please don't hesitate and scan the QR code, and then you can follow up with our advisors on one-to-one basis. And in the meantime, while I'm talking like a DJ, Zsolt has gone through your questions, so we can still attempt to answer as many as we can.
Absolutely.
So Rajit's question, for example, about Capstone.
As I said, we're very flexible. We don't have very strict requirements. 99.9% of the time, the students have an idea for what they want to do, but we're always happy to offer ideas. But usually, it's not a problem to come up with ideas. And again, it doesn't have to be at your work. It could be something you want to figure out as a startup. Could be anything. It could be something that your spouse works on. It could really be anything, just something that you are excited about. Don't think of it as a chore. Think of it as an opportunity to explore your deepest desires in creating something with AI.
Absolutely.
Nick,
So if you're in between jobs or you're looking for another role or you're a consultant, you can pick a problem relevant for that company, for your dream company that you want to work for, or a startup, as Joel said. So, it is as realistic as possible for your benefit, not because Jolt wants to implement it with you after this. It is for your benefits. That's why it's meant to be practical, but depending on your circumstances, of course. Jolt, go ahead on Nikhil's question.
Oh yeah, one more thing on the capstone is that we often get questions about confidentiality, and of course, whatever you submit, we don't share with anyone. And of course, we cannot sign an NDA and stuff like that. But if you need to just hide information, that's totally fine as well. But sometimes we share capstones with other students, and then we ask for your permission, of course. Nikhil asks about software tools. Nothing needs to be installed on your computer. We keep this very low tech. And anyway, most of the stuff now runs in browser, so nothing needs to be installed. Whatever we use, it will be running in your browser. Paolo asked a good question about, is this part of a beginning of a training program? So we don't have like a strict structure of what builds on what, but it's a natural starting point. But our courses are very modular, and at least I don't even insist. And you take our courses if you want to learn more. Take courses from other universities. But I think it's hard, especially at this day and age and the pace of how things are changing, to kind of have a rigorous or kind of an inflexible structure on courses that build on each other. Subir asks about organizational readiness to adopt digital transformation and AI, and absolutely, that's exactly what we will cover, mostly in Module 7, and a live session by Professor Srivastava. Martin asks about startups. We need to pay attention to. Yes, this is where my colleague Matthew Stepka comes in. He knows everything about startups. And he's, of course, not only aware of the startups that he invests in, but all the competitors and all the ones that he did not invest in. So I think he knows the space. We are actually organizing, this is for an MBA class, we're organizing a panel of VCs. So startups we do know a lot about. A question by Nick about case presentations by industry experts. So not specifically case presentations, but we do have guest speakers, industry guest speakers. And then, Peter will talk about his own startup, and then Matthew will also talk about startups that he invested in. So in some sense, yes, but we do have industry speakers for sure. Giuseppe, you've been head of marketing. Good for you. I like marketing for the last 2 years and currently on a career break. Could this impact my final project? Not in any bad way, but again, just pick a project from your former company or whatever company you want to work for. Again, we don't need a lot of details from the company. what we need is your contribution and do some research on data that's out there. So absolutely no problem if you're between jobs.
Here
Is
is
there
one organizational question, Jolt, I guess, about schedule of live sessions.
Yeah.
Typically, we share it once we start the course, but of course, this will be centered around Berkeley, but we'll try to do it so that many people from different time zones can join. And as we said, if it doesn't work, you can always watch the recording, but we'll commit to the schedule in the orientation webinar, which we will do once you start the program.
So the schedule is already set. So what I can tell you is that all the live sessions, and this is the faculty live sessions, I don't know about the office hours, but all the faculty live sessions are at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So the different days, the days are kind of random, but they coincide with some of the modules. Certificate slide. So certificate questions, I can not really answer in detail, but if you have questions about a certificate, please reach out offline.
What's the very next step? Also coming back to this, it's this QR code, right? So if you schedule that QR code or you go to the website, there you can register, so you can start the program, right? There are no prerequisites, but what you need to do is register and pay the fees, I assume.
And then Anton is asking about the start date. So 17th is the orientation, right?
Again, I would ask the team for that, but please maybe let's register, and then you will see the start date, and then within that you will have the sessions set. So if the timing for the faculty is 8 a.m. Pacific, that's fine, but you will see the dates as well, and you will see the office hours all during that orientation.
Yeah, I can definitely confirm that. I see this iteration starting in January, late January. So that seems consistent with that. Is this course graded? Are there any assessments to test our understanding? But very strict grading, usually 40% of students pass. Just joking with you. We do assessments to check that you understand, but it's basically a pass fail, and if you do your submissions, you pass. So it's not graded in the sense of A, B, C, F. Do we have an opportunity to present our own case study and ask for feedback? During office hours, you can definitely do that. And then, if you do some implementations and you get serious about it, then and you reach out to faculty after the fact, then we'll also take a look. Wim asks, says lots of AI is a bit of a hype. Absolutely agree with that statement. How can we convince managers that this course is not part of the hype, but a good investment for the future? You mean you want to convince them to pay for it? I guess that is the reason to come. Yeah, it's hard, right? There's a question about how this differs from an INSEAD course. I actually did my PhD at INSEAD, and INSEAD is very good at following the hype, but maybe the best way to convince them is just to tell them that we started this in 2019 and we have had very strong enrollment and we trained thousands of people, even if before it was a hype, right? And it's still the same class structure, and it's probably the longest running course, and we even have famous people like Peter Abiel who is teaching in it. So it's not just trying to milk the hype cow for now. You don't have to pay for any tool, Andres. That's good. Next step after completing the course. So that question disappeared, but again, as I said, this is a little bit of an eye-opener course, and will hopefully help you understand. Well, for it will help you a lot, and kind of if you're a manager, but as a manager and managing AI projects, but it will also help you figure out what you don't know and what else you need to learn.
And it's a first step in getting this certificate of business excellence. That's why I went
yeah,
back to the page. So that's why it's one of the first steps. And once you complete the COBE or this certificate of business excellence, you can get associate alumni status of Berkeley, which obviously then gets you even more clout than just a single certificate, which gives you a lot of great recognition online, I'm sure. A lot of people share their certificate on LinkedIn or on their CV. But if you want to get any of these benefits, alumni resources, communication with Berkeley, then so this COBE is even another next step after that.
The question about the detailed schedule, and I have no control over that, but hopefully you can send it out to Nick.
I think, Nick, you can talk to your advisor about this and see what can be done. But you probably heard already, Zsolt, the live faculty sessions will be will be at 8 a.m. Pacific. That's the best we can do for now. We can give you perhaps the dates and the office hours as well. But all of this will be recorded as well in case you miss it because you traveled that week, right? And there is no penalty for missing it either in terms of points or certificates.
All right. Gina, you're launching your own startup. Congratulations. How to implement AI into my business plan. I think that's perfect. You already have a capstone project. So that's
there you
good.
go.
When you can begin to log into Canvas. I don't know how many live sessions. So 4 live sessions, 8 weeks, and I think 1 office hour a week, I believe. And somebody asks, it's one-to-one. It's not one-to-one, but it's one-to-few with the learning facilitator. So it's split out so that it's not like everybody showing up, like several hundred people. The live sessions with the faculty, everybody shows up in the same session. I'm really enjoying all the questions, peppered by questions. But that's for the live sessions, and then more split for the office hours. All
So
right.
thank you so much for a great turnout, great questions. Hope you got the answers you were looking for. If you still have questions, you can go to the website. So you see here the link, emrt.us/bh hyphen AI hyphen apply now. There you can download the brochure. You can read up on that. If you register for this webinar, you also get the slides anyway. You will get the recording also. But if you scan this QR code, you can talk to an advisor in more detail, one-on-one, and figure out whether this is the right fit for you. We hope to see you there. Zsolt is definitely going to be there and ready for you with his colleagues as well, learning facilitators as well. So this is very exciting time for AI and for everybody around it. And it's not just the generative AI, but it's the traditional AI. And what we're going to focus on also how to derive tangible business benefits from it, right? This is, again, a business course together with computer science experts as well. Any other final questions? All right, congratulations on the startup. I think, Gina, you will be able to hire some people there already as well. So that's great to help you to take it forward. Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone. And it's really a must that you sign up for the course. And hoping to see you in about 3 weeks, I believe, is when the first live faculty session is. So have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Zsolt, and thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.